Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a quiet gardening revolution that's happening right under our noses. Look, if you've ever felt frustrated by a lackluster pepper harvest, you are absolutely going to love this. We're talking about transforming an average garden yield into a literal explosion of fruit, and doing it entirely without synthetic chemicals or insanely complicated watering schedules. It all comes down to one brilliantly simple decision: who you choose to plant right next door to your peppers.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that massive 3x yield metric. You see, when you put the wrong plant neighbors next to your peppers, they'll silently sabotage your harvest. They compete for resources, they attract the wrong bugs, it's a mess. But the right neighbors, they literally supercharge your pepper's growth. By just making strategic choices about the plants sharing the exact same soil, you can effectively triple what your pepper plants produce. No joke.
And that brings us to our core concept here: companion planting. This isn't just some trendy new gardening fad you see on social media. It's actually one of the oldest, most effective agricultural strategies in the world. Ancient farmers figured out thousands of years ago that certain plants create this powerful, natural synergy when they're grown together. And the best part? Modern scientific research has completely validated what those early farmers already knew. These specific plant pairings actively protect, feed, and strengthen one another.
Okay, let's dive into this. Rather than just giving you a random top 10 list, we're going to group these companions by their functional superpowers to build a self-sustaining ecosystem. We've got 1, the above-ground pest defenders; 2, the underground soil engineers; 3, the natural climate controllers; and 4, your garden ecosystem master plan.
Starting with Section 1, the above-ground pest defenders. This is all about recruiting your garden's natural army.
Let's look at this brilliant strategy using a plant called Nasturtiums, which is perfectly illustrated in this high-quality animated breakdown. Nasturtiums are what we call a trap crop. They're actually more attractive to pests like aphids and whiteflies than your actual peppers are. So step 1, they lure the pests away, basically sacrificing themselves. But then step 2, these flowers attract beneficial predatory insects. We're talking hoverflies, ladybugs, parasitic wasps. And step 3, those predators feast on the aphids. It doesn't just redirect the pests, it creates a dynamic trap that completely destroys them.
And this brilliantly illustrates our next tactic, the scent maskers. Think of these highly aromatic plants as invisible chemical shields for your peppers. Since pests rely heavily on scent to find their food, we can use that against them. Oregano produces this dense scent that completely masks the chemical signals peppers give off, effectively blinding spider mites to their location. Then you've got basil, which releases volatile oils like linalool and eugenol. These are toxic to soft-bodied insects, like aphids. Plus, anecdotal evidence strongly suggests basil actually enhances the complex flavor of the peppers grown next to it. Win-win, right? Finally, onions emit a sulfurous odor that is just deeply offensive to slugs and rabbits, pushing them right out of the garden.
I love this quote. Instead of reaching for a pesticide, have an army of pest-eating insects already living in your garden, patrolling your plants around the clock. That concept hits the nail on the head when we talk about dill. Dill is an insectiary plant. It draws in ladybugs and lacewings in just massive numbers. But here's the crucial tip: you have to let your dill flower. A lot of gardeners harvest it before it bolts, but those flowers are exactly what call in the good bugs. Let it flower, and you've got an elite squad patrolling your garden 24/7.
Moving on to Section 2, the underground soil engineers, building the foundation for massive roots.
Beneath the surface, there is some serious, complex chemical warfare happening out of sight. Take root knot nematodes. These are microscopic worms that destroy pepper roots from the ground up. By the time you actually see your pepper plant wilting above ground, it's already too late. But marigolds produce a compound from their roots that's highly toxic to these nematodes, stopping the damage before it even starts. Toss garlic into the mix, which releases allicin to create a potent chemical barrier, and combine that with the sulfur from onions, you instantly get natural antifungal properties that fight off devastating diseases like root rot.
But hey, it's not all chemical warfare down there. Some of it is just pure structural engineering, like you can see in his high-quality photo. Carrots are fantastic companions because they literally do free soil work. Peppers have relatively shallow root systems, so they really struggle in dense soil. Carrots, on the other hand, drive their long taproots deep into the earth, breaking up compaction and creating these vital channels for water and air. This lets your pepper roots easily extend deeper to grab more nutrients. Just a quick practical tip though, plant your carrots at least 6 inches away from the peppers so you don't accidentally disturb the pepper roots during harvest time.
All right, Section 3, the natural climate controllers, managing moisture and beating the heat.
Let's see how certain plants build a perfect microclimate to relieve environmental stress. Peppers have this really fascinating biological quirk. They absolutely love warm air temperatures above ground, but the roots actually prefer cool soil. If the soil gets too hot, the plant experiences heat stress and will literally drop its flowers before they can even turn into fruit. No way we want that. This is where spinach comes in. Spinach acts as a dense, living mulch. Its broad leaves shade the ground, completely regulating the root zone temperature and locking in vital moisture. So the roots stay cool while the top of the plant basks in the heat.
And speaking of heat, we have to talk about the strategic placement of tomatoes. Now, you might be thinking, wait, aren't tomatoes and peppers both nightshades? Won't they compete? But tomatoes actually offer something invaluable: shade. By planting taller tomato plants strategically on the west or southwest side of your pepper bed, you block out that intense, harsh afternoon sunlight. This completely prevents sunscald, those bleached, papery patches that just ruin a perfect pepper. And it actively extends your fruiting window by relieving that late-day heat stress.
And that brings us to Section 4, your garden ecosystem master plan. It's time to put all the puzzle pieces together.
So the crucial point here is synthesizing all this data. Let's look at how to actually arrange these plants spatially in your garden. At the base of your peppers, you want your ground covers, oregano, spinach, and basil to hold moisture and repel airborne bugs. Around the edges, you build your protective fortress with marigolds, nasturtiums, and garlic. In the gaps between plants, tuck in your dill, onions, and carrots to do that underground soil work and call in the flying predators. And finally, on the west side, you position your tomatoes for that vital afternoon shade. By layering these zones, you're removing multiple stressors at once: pest pressure, soil problems, heat, so your peppers can put 100% of their energy into fruiting.
Now, it's super important to remember that companion planting is a cumulative investment. We're playing the long game here. In Season 1, you'll absolutely see initial pest reduction, but by Season 2 and 3, that's when the magic happens. Your soil biology fundamentally improves, and those beneficial insect populations permanently establish themselves. The ecosystem matures and becomes totally self-reinforcing. So don't get overwhelmed. Start small. Maybe just pick 2 or 3 companions this year, like some basil at the base and a border of marigolds, and build from there. So, let me leave you with this question to think about. Which of these superhero companions are you going to plant next to your peppers this season to start building your 3x ecosystem? Whether you're going for the flavor-boosting power of basil, the trap crop genius of nasturtiums, or the heavy soil lifting of carrots, you now have the exact blueprint you need. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and